don't hear much from Jack Jones anymore. He was pretty popular in the 60s, particularly among the adults, people over 25 or 30 years old who just, oh God, what's this rock and roll? I can't stand it. I can't stand the Beatles, the Stones. What the hell are these guys? I mean, this is not music. Please take me back to the big band era of the 30s and 40s. Some Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra, or at least somebody who's popular today who sounds like those guys back in the days of old, back in the big band era. That's where Jack Jones come in. Engelbert Humperdinck was another popular uh, artist among the older people. Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass, very popular with people over 35 and 40 years old. Jack Jones. Jack Jones coming in on Billboard's Hot 100. This song went to number 12 on not R&B, but on the adult contemporary charts. Let me bring it up for you real quick. The song that I want to talk to you about, Lollipops and Roses by Jack Jones off the Cap record label at number 77. It dropped from 66. It was at number 70. It was at number 70, dropped to 75, then jumped to 66, then dropped back down to number 77. Very lush ballad by Jack Jones. This is definitely a throwback. Think Bing Crosby, think Fink Damone rather, and possibly Eddie Fisher, Frankie Lane, the very mainstream adult artists from the 40s, 50s, into the 60s. This song, Jack Jones, this record was written, it was originally done by a guy named Tony Falona. Falona is Felona. I might be mispronouncing his last name. Tony Falona, his biggest hit was Damani, which was covered by Julius LaRosa back in 1955. We're talking very mainstream music right here, not rock and roll at all. Still kind of a prom classic. I can see some folks slow dancing to this at a prom back in the spring of 1962. It's a possibility, along with songs like Jenny Come Lately by Brian Hyland, one of my personal favorites right there. This song, by the way, Lollipops and Roses, covered by a variety of people. Perry Como, Paul Peterson covered it. Doris Day, Earl Grant. You might remember Earl Grant's biggest hit called The End back in 1958. Signed at the Cap record label. When he was signed to Cap, that's when he came out with Lollipops and Roses. One of The Impossible Dream was probably one of his biggest adult hit. Later on, I can't remember the year, 66, 67 by Jack Jones, and also Wives and Lovers. God, great record written by Burt Bacharach and Hal David. That was back in the fall of 1963. A couple of interesting things about Jack Jones. Later on in the 70s, 1977, he put out two albums. Now, by then, he was no longer on Cap. He was on the RCA record label. Went to RCA around 1967, 68. He recorded an album called A Full Life. It was produced by Jack Jones, along with Bruce Johnston of the Beach Boys. And on that album, he covered the Beach Boys classic, God Only Knows. And another interesting note, some of these recording artists, they're capable of branching out to other areas. 1977, he recorded his last album, Jack Jones did, with the RCA record label, I think it's called With One More Look at You. I'm just trying to read my chicken scratch. I believe that was his last album. Bottom line, on that album that he did with this last album with RCA Records, he covered Little Feat's Dixie Chicken. Can you believe that? I mean, we're talking about a 180-degree turn from Lollipops and Roses. But here we are on Billboard's Hot 100. We're in the spring of 1962. April 14th, 1962, Billboard's Hot 100 at number 77, Jack Jones with Lollipops and Roses.